I'm Lawrence. I am the Technology-Enabled Care Occupational Therapist for Essex. So I work for Liberty Life, which is the service provider within Essex. I first heard of and got in contact with, or have been in contact with Access via their GPS devices. So I've used their GPS devices for a number of years in kind of various different contracts and guises, and I prescribe them on a regular basis. One use that I had for a GPS device was for a gentleman who was living in many respects really independently. He did predominantly live within a residential care home, but was still accessing the community himself. He was going out, he was doing all the things that he would normally do, but the reason he came through to me was that he was taking himself off on the bus out every day. He wasn't necessarily feeling like he needed to tell the care staff where he was going, so he would just take himself off. And in the best case scenario, he would then get himself on the bus to come home. What would occasionally happen would be that he wouldn't remember that he needed to get a certain bus at a certain time. So what I did was provided him with the GPS that the carers in the morning would make sure he wore. I used the geofencing function within the GPS to set a geofence so the carers were alerted to say he's left. They didn't have to do anything about it, they just were aware that he'd gone, so if there was a fire, didn't have to do anything. They would then also get a notification to say when he arrived at the place he was going, so he's gone, he's got on the bus, he's arrived to where he needs to be, no problem. I then also set another zone with a specific time to say if he is in this place past this time, well actually he's going to miss the bus pretty soon if he doesn't get back on, so I set up carer numbers to be able to contact the devices so that they could give him a verbal prompt to say, it's time to get back on the bus. If you don't go at this time, you're not going to make it back, and we're going to have to get you, do something else. But if it did all kind of go wrong, they did have a means of finding him. So that was a really good situation of him being able to keep his independence, do all the things that he wanted to do with very little fuss in terms of him having to engage with everything, but did get the support he needed, and the carers were able to facilitate him keeping his independence. One thing that I found with Access, especially the kind of newer Access stuff, is that all of those needs that I might have, I can combine into one supplier, which gives me a much better ability to have a cohesive solution that does everything that I need it to do. I then also really like how Access has given me oversight of those things as well, so I can track when things are changing, what's happening, and I'm providing support, but I'm also getting a read on what's kind of happening as well, so I can do a bit of both. I'm not having to put in multiple different solutions, which I think is something that Access do really, really well. The kinds of outcomes I tend to get from Access Kit, predominantly using things like GPSs, will be around continued community use, continued confidence within the community, of being able to give an individual an Access GPS, whatever kind of devices say, this is for you to go out and do whatever it is you would want to go and do. Go and have a bit of confidence. So I'm not necessarily giving you a device, I'm giving you a bit of confidence to go and do what it is that you would want to normally go and do. Yes, I would recommend Access Technology able to care to others. I do have family members who also use Access Kit.